All right, let's see what we got here. Pull up the chat. Hopefully everyone is doing all right. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. And we'll give people a minute to file in. And today we're going to talk about how to keep talking in English. So I get this question actually quite frequently. Let's see if anybody's coming in the chat over here. All right. I think we should be live. Let's see. All right. Can't tell, but hopefully post something in the chat. Let me know you're watching over there. All right, but I think we are live. So this video is going to be a little bit different than what I usually do because I don't have a specific plan other than answering your questions and talking specifically about this idea. So usually I have, like a specific topic or things I want to talk about. But this one I really want to talk specifically with or kind of talking about the problems that you have. And I thought it would be interesting to not have anything like planned, just so you can see what I do when I don't know what to talk about. So I like to do this in live videos anyway, because part of being able to have a conversation is to continue speaking. And so you can keep a conversation going or continue to ask questions or to continue talking about whatever the topic is. So in this video, what I'd like help with you or from you in the chat is think about specific times. It could be topics you have trouble talking about or specific times where you're in a conversation and you get stuck. So I really want to focus on the moment you get stuck and then give you specific help about why. So in the chat, let me know, just tell me about a specific time. I can kind of tell you some stories just to get this started a little bit. But I'd like to know specifically, because if you get in a conversation and you become stuck for whatever reason, there are usually like a few main causes of this. It could be just a lack of confidence generally, but usually there's a lack of confidence about a particular issue. So you might not, maybe you don't know like a specific word you want to use or a grammar point or something like that. But I'd like to know specifically. That's part of the reason I can do these live videos and I can actually talk with you. So let me know in the chat. Good morning. Nice to see everybody over there. Yes, I'm live right now. Nice to see you all there. So this is your chance, your opportunity. Let's see. Hi, you look smart. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I guess it's better than looking dumb, I suppose. But so I can go into a few specific things anyway. But usually, when people have a problem, they should know, as best as possible, what the reason for that is. All right. So each person, it might be a little bit different. So what I'd like to do again is to get specific advice, or not like specific advice, but tell me specific situations where you have trouble. So me, when I was learning Japanese and just beginning to learn it and still having trouble expressing myself, even now I don't know the entire language. There's, again, lots of things I don't know about being able to speak Japanese. It could be some vocabulary I don't know or something, but I'm able to speak fluently and I can maintain speech, so I can continue talking about things just because I have different ways of expressing myself. I don't like kind of mentally get stuck anywhere. But when I was first getting started, I remember I would really be like, usually the problems, and you can let me know if you guys are having some of these as well. So number one is like I just didn't have like any vocabulary at all. So like no words to express something. And this is an issue, maybe a tricky issue for people who watch my videos, because you are not a beginner in the language, or I'm guessing you are not a beginner in the language. You have been learning English for a while, so you probably know a lot of vocabulary already. You've been studying for a while, but maybe in conversations you lose that vocabulary. So So again, one thing I experienced, I'll check chat in just a moment. But I would find like I didn't know anything about the topic. And so if I have no vocabulary, just like now in English, if I have to speak with a bunch of doctors about some advanced medical thing, I can't really speak much about that. All right, so that's a problem of like not actually having any vocabulary at all. And in that case, really, we want to solve that by just building the vocabulary up. So there's some ways we can do that. Second one is like uncertainty. Or you can say like you're unsure about something or worries of some kind. And these it could be about vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation or something else, or maybe you're worried about saying the wrong thing. I remember one time, this is a good example just from my own history for language learning. I remember talking to a mother in Japanese, and my Japanese was not very good, and I was talking about her child, and I was saying I was trying to say she's so smart, but I thought I said the wrong thing. I actually said the right word, but I thought I said the wrong word. So in the middle of just in my mind, in the middle of the conversation, I'm sitting there worried, like, oh no, I just insulted this woman. But I actually didn't, so I was happy about that. So you could have worries about words, and even with this, it could be like, are you using the correct word? Or maybe you don't know how to say the word itself, like how to say it. Like the intonation or the pronunciation or something. I gave an example of this in maybe 2 videos back, so 2 videos ago previously, where I was talking about the inventory versus inventory. So maybe you learn a British English pronunciation and then you talk to an American English speaker and they pronounce things differently, so they're not anticipating what you're saying. And then of course you have like worries about grammar as well. And this could be worries about like, I want to express something, but I just don't know that grammar point. Or maybe you're thinking, like, I know that grammar point, but I'm not very confident about it, so I'll say something else. A related example of this is native speakers and spelling. So often native speakers will want to write a word, but if they don't remember how to spell it, they'll just use a different word. So this happens often in grammar, and what's nice is there are usually different ways of expressing something. So if for example, like I can't remember how to say like I have to do something, I could say maybe I need to do something. And even if the meaning is a little bit different, people still understand generally what I'm talking about. And then of course we got pronunciation. I'll just put pro over here for pronunciation. So you could have it could be errors of things like this, and this is only like uncertainty about your own vocabulary. Excuse me. So of course you have maybe issues with what the other person is saying, so you don't understand something they say, and you're worried about that. I'm trying to just give you some examples, but I'd love to hear more about maybe the last time you were in a conversation and what happened with that. Because we want to get you unstuck so that you don't, you want to continue, have a nice, smooth conversation and not have a bunch of worries in your head while you're speaking. All right, let's check here. We've got Vida, I'm Brazilian, teacher of English. I love your method, but I struggle with stuff like the past tense, mostly the irregular verbs. Any tips? Okay, all right, well, glad to hear it. So that's related to grammar. When you mean just like the simple past, like any kind of past tenses, and especially irregular verbs. So if you mean like go and went, so these are things where part of the way we want to teach and actually solve a lot of these problems at the same time is the review that we get of the vocabulary. And so just like one thing, like I go back and I actually review a lot of basic Japanese grammar, just because I want to get lots of examples. And when I say I review it, I mean a naturally varied review where I get many, many different examples of it. And so one example, like, and this is another, again, I give a lot of Japanese examples because that's the other language that I'm learning in my own life other than English. But I was reading and just going back over like the difference between like something looks good or I hear something is good. So they're very similar grammar points in Japanese, and like I'll use them, but I'm still not like 100% confident about it. Like I will hesitate just a little bit. And so when I have a situation like that, I know I need to go back and get a lot more examples. So usually what people do is they will try to, like if they have a grammar, like a tricky grammar point or something, especially like Vito is saying with irregular verbs, you don't become a better speaker or a better user of these grammar points by just understanding it logically or intellectually. Most people know the rules, so if I have like a regular verb, I add ed or something else to the end of it. But in general, we just want to get lots of review. It's the review, all of the different and varied examples of something that get us fluent. So in my case, last night I came back home and I had taken a shower, and after I finished my shower, I noticed there was a mosquito in the bathroom. So right now it's hot, summertime. You might even hear some cicadas outside. I'm trying to keep them quiet, but they don't listen to me very much. So last night I'm taking this shower and it's mosquito time. I saw just kind of something flying around and I can't stand it. I hate having a mosquito in the house. My whole family does, because you go to sleep at night and then someone's gonna get bit and the kids are all itchy. Mosquito's not gonna kill us or anything, but it's just really annoying. And so I'm sitting there, I just took a shower, I was all hot, and I see this little mosquito, and my mother-in-law is like coming out in the hallway, and I say, go back in the room, there's a mosquito. So I'm trying to trap this mosquito in the smallest part of the house. And it took me about 5 minutes, but I got hot again after I took the shower. And what I heard is so my mother-in-law used the specific grammar point that I had been reviewing earlier that day. Now, this is an interesting thing about, she was kaga iru so desu. So it's the difference between I see one versus I hear there's something happening. And so what you'll notice from this is as you get more review of these things, rather than trying to understand this, the biggest tip I can give you is to get 100 examples. I mean, you don't need that many, but try to get as many examples as you can, because usually a textbook, a regular grammar textbook, might give you 1 or 2 examples of something. So it's mostly an explanation of the grammar point with 1 or 2 examples, and then they move on to the next thing. So what you should be doing, and this is why in Fluent for Life we spend so much time giving you lots and lots and lots of examples, because you don't really get fluent by understanding it logically. You get fluent by just absorbing the grammar in different ways. So it's much more interesting for you, and it really helps you understand how to use it because you're getting so many different grammar points. All right. So that was kind of a long answer to your question, Vita. But as far as a specific tip goes, anything like a specific grammar point that you have trouble with, stop and focus on that. Get a whole bunch of examples. You can do this in Google or ChatGPT or whatever, but I need a bunch of examples of this. And so you want varied examples. And what's nice, obviously, is not just having a text example, but also being able to hear it. And so here I am when I come back home and I hear that specific grammar point. And maybe you've noticed this too. I forget the psychology term for this, but usually what happens is if you're looking to buy a new car, then you will maybe have a specific kind of car, like a specific model you're interested in, and then you will start seeing that car all over the place. Your brain now you're thinking about it so much, you recognize that. The car was always there, but you just recognize it more now. And so that recognition, the same thing comes as you review grammar points. So you want to be able to review them, but this is the kind of fun example where you're getting lots of varied review, not just trying to understand it logically or repeat the same example again and again. All right, hopefully that helps. All right, let's see here. All right. Ambo Beats said, hello, I'm from Indonesia. Nice to see you there. Can you speak British accent? Can I speak with a British accent? Well, I think there are quite a few different British accents. I'm no expert in the British accent. I can kind of pretend like I speak with a British accent, but I do the kind of American version of the bad British accent, like shine your boots, governor. Like that's the kind of thing we say in America about like the British accent, even though there are quite a few different ones. I think that's more like the Cockney accent. But yeah, if I had to go to England, when I lived in England, I lived in London actually, and I would try to just listen to the people over there and copy their accent a little bit. But no, I'm not the best at having a British accent. All right, when to use can and could. Okay, all right. Well, that's a specific grammar point question. We can tackle that. So can versus could. Now, before I answer this question, I want to make it clear that it's important to understand, like we want you, and when I say we, I mean me, like I want you, and you should want this for yourself, but I want you to understand these things like a native. And so when we have something like a student will ask me, like, what does this word mean? Or tell me the difference between two words or something like that. The answer is usually it depends on the situation. And so I might have a time where I say I can do something or I could do something. So if a friend of mine asks me, hey, can you come to my house for dinner? I say, yeah, I can do that. So I'm able to do that. I'm able to do that. Yeah, I could do that. So I can answer his question with both of these words and it would mean the same thing. So in this situation, it would mean the same thing. But it becomes like a little bit different, like maybe if I'm asking someone, can you, let's see, so can you clean my house? And I'm like, he's asking me if it's possible for me to do that. So can I clean his house? Yes, it's possible for me to do that. And he's asking, could you? It's basically the same question, but here the slight difference is it sounds a little bit more polite. So could you do something rather than can you? All right. So it's really the most basic of like asking about ability rather than like, do you want to do something or but it's true that natives actually, I mean, they will use it that way. So if I say like, yeah, can you come over to my house? It's like, asking, is it possible for you to do that? And also, do you want to do that thing? But if I say could, again, it's a little bit more polite. So this is one example where we're not just trying to get like every definition of all these things. We're looking at a specific situation and understanding how they're different. So I had, let's see, we got a question. So we get questions every day from people. We've got like, I don't know, 40,000 students in like programs like Fluent for Life, Native Fluency Blueprint, and we get lots of questions. And one of them was talking about the word of recently. So I was looking back through comments, and I noticed like this learner was a little bit disappointed because like he knew one meaning of, but then he encountered a different meaning and was like, hey, what happened to the word of? Like I thought it meant this, but now I'm learning it means this thing over here. So this is another thing, like if we go back to the root of a lot of the problems people have with language learning, it's because they will usually start with a translation and then go to the English word like that. So they will learn, okay, like here's like of, and then you have maybe one example, and then you learn whatever this word is in your native language, and then you learn the English word of over here. But the way native speakers do this is they actually begin with a situation, and you've probably seen me talk about this before if you've watched my videos. So we begin with a situation, and it's like, oh, in this situation we use can. But in this situation we use could. All right? So like if I'm talking about the past, like, yeah, I could do that when I was younger. So in that situation, it's a different situation. All right. So if I'm talking about like asking someone right now, the situation asking someone right now if they are able to do something, I can use either one of these words. All right. So can you come to my house or could you come to my house for this situation? And this is how little kids learn the language. It's like, oh, okay, here's one example of can and one example of could. And then they will remember that, and then maybe the next time they hear something different, then their understanding expands. All right, but they don't begin with the word and try to think like, what are all of the meanings of that, okay? So here, if we're talking about the situation is something in the past, I can only use could for that. So if I'm asking like, were you able to do something? So were you able? So in the past, were you able? So were you able to do something? And I can say, yes, yes, I was able, or I could do that. So were you able to clean your house? Did you have time to do that? So I'm asking about something in the past. Yes, I could do that. I was able to do that. We don't use can for the past in that way, okay? So hopefully this makes sense. It's really important that you try to focus on one thing and then get lots of examples of this situation. So you want the naturally varied review. I try to do this. I don't want to spend too much time on just like a single thing, but that's how you should be doing it. We do this in Fluent for Life, but I'm trying to cover a couple of different things in these videos here. But hopefully this makes sense, all right? Let me know if this makes sense, all right? Because we've got the same words, but it's a different meaning depending on the situation, okay? So try not to think about like what the word means and like we know can means this, like it's got one meaning. That's not true, okay? It has a meaning for the situation. I think I gave an example of this like many videos ago. I forget what video it was, but I was talking about how words have no meaning. It's like a funny idea about vocabulary. But it's almost like two sticks that are supporting each other like this. So if you just have the word, it falls down. The word doesn't mean anything. You have to have the situation to hold it together. Okay, so it's the word with the situation that means something. And then you have maybe the same word with a different situation that means something else. All right. El Fresh, good comment over there. All right, let's see here. We'll go back. So hi, how are you? Says Shihab. I'm doing well. Hello, sup Drew, says Ildar. Nice to see you there. Perfect, thanks, says Vita. Glad to hear it. It's serendipity, I guess. Well, there you go. I'm happy to help. All right, let's see. How can I teach reading? Says Ian. If I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you want to teach young kids or really anybody how to read English, click on the link in the description below this video for Frederick. This is a system that I took many years to build with my team. I don't know anything about coding, but I knew how to like design a good system because I spent many years teaching young kids how to read, and I wanted a system they could use to teach themselves. So if you want to teach someone how to do that, it goes through all of the steps for learning the same way natives learn, but the really main thing that's different about Frederick versus every other system is that it allows kids to teach themselves. So the kids can actually discover what things mean rather than a teacher just saying, look, this letter means this, or this letter has this sound. They actually get to discover that for themselves. So you can click on the link for Frederick in the description below this video. Let's see. And Simran says, hi, I'm from India. I found you the real instructor. Glad to hear it. I'm here to help. All right, let's see here. Good morning from China. Good morning. Good morning from Uganda. Sometimes I know words, but when I was talking, I forget the word. Yes, I want you to go deeper. So anybody, we're talking about like the general topic of getting stuck in conversations. And I want you to think about that. Why do you forget the word, do you think? All right, so there's a few different things we can do with this one. The first one, if we forget a word, we can transition to something else. So if I can't remember the word cat, maybe I remember the word feline. Have you ever heard that word before? There's another word for like kinds of cats. New word for probably many people, maybe all of you, a feline. So I've got a pet feline. That's a cat or some kind of cat. So like a feline, you might also have like a tiger or a lion or something like that. They're in that same group, a feline. But the point is there are different ways of describing something so that if I forget one, I've learned another. And the reason natives are able to do this, again, is because they're not starting with a word, they're starting with a situation. All right? So a native speaker, let me clear up some space here. So the way a native speaker learns English, and this is the same way you learned your native language, is you have a situation first. And so the situation might be, I'm going to draw a very bad cat here. Oh my goodness. I'm actually a pretty good drawer, but I'm trying to do something quick over here. Here's a cat. So a child sees a cat, and one adult might say like, oh, like it's a cat. Another person might say, oh, like that's Lucky. And the child doesn't really understand, like, are you talking about what the thing is? Are you talking about the name of that? And so they're getting this naturally varied review. So they're naturally getting different examples. Maybe someone says a feline. All right, so it's not so common. Most native speakers know what this word means, but maybe you don't hear it so often in your conversations. But anyway, the point is that they're hearing different ways of describing that thing. And that way, when they get into a conversation and they have to talk about something, like they could say cat, they could say feline, they could say Lucky. All right? So if I'm talking about my cat and I'm talking with my mom, I can say, yeah, there's a problem with the cat. I think the cat is sick. Or I could say, I think Lucky is sick. I think our feline is sick. So when you learn as a native learns, when you're coming from situations rather than coming from vocabulary and translations, this is how you learn to speak, and then you can move from one thing to another. In Speak Like Me, I call this moving like water. But the point is you're not getting stuck on a particular word because you can easily transition to something else. All right? So if you get stuck thinking about a word, usually there's at least another way to say it. Like if you don't know all of these, maybe you think about like, what's that little animal we have? Like I forget the word of that thing. So you can explain a little bit about someone. You're talking about the cat. You're talking about Lucky, so that's the name of the cat, or you're talking about like that feline in the house. Okay? All right. Let's see. So hi, Drew Badger. I'm Muhammad Ali. Nice to see you there. I would really appreciate your time. And you again, good job. We owe you a lot. It's my pleasure. Now, be careful when you're saying like, I would appreciate, you're talking about, it's like I'm thinking, okay, you're going to ask me for a favor. So like, I would appreciate if you're going to do something, like I would appreciate it if you bring me to the airport later. So like I don't appreciate now, I would appreciate in the future. So if you do something, I will appreciate that. So if you want to say to someone like right now, like thank you to someone right now, or like you've already done something and I'm thanking you for that, you can say I appreciate you. So I thank you, I appreciate you, but in the future, I would appreciate, all right? So that's another reason where we have a word like would, and we're going to think about like when are the situations we would use that, because the native is thinking, they're not thinking about the word, they're thinking when do we use something. All right, so I would appreciate that. All right, or would you? Would you? Yes, if you're talking about like would you do something in the same way. All right, I have an aha moment about this, says Nils. Glad to hear it. Let me know what specifically. You had an aha moment about what? Like the way of learning or some specific vocabulary? Let me know. The more you think about that, the more you can apply that same, like, I had an aha moment when I learned like this, or I did something, so you should do more of that. All right, and then you will get more of that nice feeling. All right, El Fresh says, thanks, Sensei. Yes, it's my pleasure. Jay Wu says, hello, Drew. Good morning. This is my first time in your live stream. Today is a lucky day. Look at that. Lucky day, indeed. Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate all of you being here with me. I appreciate you. All right. So what about would? What about would? Oh, okay, I think people are asking about like we talked about could and would. So remember, I know like the natural reaction of the learner is like, just give me the definition of the word. And the best I can do, really, and this will help you, the whole point of these videos is to help you build fluency by understanding English like a native. So a non-native will think about a word like would, and they will just get a definition, or they will try to translate that in their native language. But would, or any other word, if you're learning it as an English speaker, like a native English speaker, you're thinking, when do I use that? So if we're talking about now, let's just say here's now, and then sometime in the future, like, so would you like, and again, I used the example before, like, so can you, or could you, or would. I can use all three of these to talk about asking for something in the future like that. All right. So remember the point. Don't try to remember, like memorize a definition. It's just, can you use this in this situation? So in this situation, if I go to my friend's house, like I might ask him, like, hey, can you come over to my house for dinner? Can you come for dinner? Or could you come for dinner? Or I could say, hey, would you come for dinner? I'm asking, all of these mean really the same thing. I'm asking them about sometime in the future, all right? But I wouldn't use that in the past, or if I'm talking about something else, like they have, again, different meanings. But in this situation, you would hear all of these. And that's why, like a native, again, is getting this naturally varied review. So they begin with a situation, like asking someone to do something in the future, and then they will hear people using all of these. So they will learn, I can use could or can or would for all of these things, okay? So when you're hearing these in a situation, if you pay attention, think first about the situation and then what is the vocabulary that you hear for that, because you will often be surprised, like, oh, I didn't know we could use this vocabulary for that situation. But you will hear natives talking like that, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So try not to memorize like the meaning of would and can, and it's more like, in this situation, what do people say? And you learn that by getting lots of examples of that situation. And that's why I call it naturally varied review, because you're going to hear different people say it. They're going to say it in a different way, just like ordering food at a restaurant. So I might go to a restaurant and my waiter says, like, what would you like? What would you like? All right. So they're probably not going to say like can you eat this? That would be kind of like a little maybe impolite. All right. Or could you do something? Man, they might ask me to do that, but typically, like, what would you like? What would you like? Like, if you had this food, would you like that? What would you like? That's what they're asking me. Okay. So always connect the vocabulary with the situation. The situation is the most important part. And this will also train you to stop translating and thinking in your native language, because you're not trying to connect vocabulary in your native language with vocabulary in English. You're just saying, oh, natives say this in this situation. Okay, so it's only vocabulary with an idea or situation. And that situation could be a thing, like a cat or something like that. So if I have a marker here, the marker is the situation. The marker is the thing we're talking about. And the name we give to that is marker. So when you hear, it's like, ooh, a red marker, a black marker, a blue marker. Do you have a marker? Do you have another marker? Would you like a marker? So you ask different questions and pay attention to what natives say in those situations, and that's how you learn the vocabulary. All right, Nixon says, I get confused when it comes to using get used to. Using get used to can be similar with be used to. Okay, I think someone else was asking me this question before, so let me cover the difference in this situation. Okay, pay attention to the situation. Let's do some magic here. All right, so what is the situation here? We got can, let's see, so get used to and be used to. All right, now watch this. So we notice the difference between be and can, and actually we'll just say here, we'll do be and get for this. All right. Now, when you hear just these words by themselves, when we hear the word be, usually the situation means like something exists right now. Like it is hot. All right. So this is like I am, you are, he, she, it is. Okay. For be. So it is hot, or I'm like my being, like how I am right now, like I am doing something. I'm being it right now. But when we talk about get usually means there's some kind of movement. All right, so be just is, it's right here. But get is more like you're becoming something. It's like moving from here over to here. So right now I'm at work, I need to get home. I'm sorry, I need to get going. Okay, I'm taking a position, I'm moving from one place to another. Okay, so to be used to, all right, so to be used to means like I am like understanding something, or I am like in this position already. So I am used to doing these videos on YouTube. All right, so I'm like feel good about doing it. It's very easy, very fun. I am used to it. Okay, so right now, so you can think about someone who's like already they've been working at a job for a long time. They do it well, they do it easily. They are used to that thing. Okay, so they've already had that experience. They're already here. But if you're getting used to it, you're thinking about like moving into that. So maybe this is my first YouTube video. I don't really know how to do anything. I feel a little bit uncertain. I'm not used to it yet. All right, so I'm not, if you think about like we have time, and at this point, like right here, I'm used to it. It just means I have like that experience, okay? But over here, not yet. I am not yet used to something. So maybe my first time I tried doing something, I didn't do that very good, I didn't do that very well. Maybe I made a mistake. I don't feel very confident about something, but over time, look at that. We can talk about improving. Now I am getting used to something. So I'm moving towards feeling good about that thing. I'm getting used to it. All right, so I made my first video. I didn't feel very good. My second video, I felt a bit more confident. My third video, fourth video. Now I've made 500 some videos on the channel. I am very used to doing this. Okay, so it's nice and easy. I understand how to do it. I've got lots of experience. Same thing. Okay, so the difference here, we're talking about like there's kind of two different ideas here. So there's used to, like to be used to. It just means like you understand something, you feel good about that thing, you feel confident and comfortable. All right, and then it's either are you already or are you becoming? Okay, so remember, get is it's motion, it's movement from one thing to another. Like if you get a present, the present is moving from one person to you. You got something. If you understand something, like I'm telling you, like, hey, did you get it? Did you get what I'm saying? Did you understand what I'm saying? It's moving from me to you. Did you get it? So we have two different ideas here. We have be versus get, and then we have used to. But hopefully that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions more about that. But again, when you're understanding these things, like to be used to, it just means like you feel confident, you feel good about something. You feel used to that thing. Okay, I'm used to it. So hopefully some people who have been watching my videos for a while, they are used to my way of speaking, and so they understand my English very well. They are used to me. They are used to me. But notice also that the pronunciation changes slightly. So the D disappears, and this is more like used to. It's like used to. Yeah, I'm used to it. Used to it. Used to it. All right, so used to or used to. Used to. All right. Now, this is different. This is different from I used. Like I used to do something. All right. Like I used it to do something. Like I did it before. I don't do it anymore. All right. So slightly different meaning of that. So like I used it to play. I don't know. I used to play chess. So I used to do that. I did that before, but now I don't. All right. That's why we have this. Be or get. So be used to means like, oh, now I'm feeling confident about it. Or getting used to it means I'm becoming confident about it. But when you just talk about like, I used to do something, it's something you did in the past. I did it before. I don't do it now. I used to do something. I don't do it anymore. All right. And this is why it's important, like you kind of learn one thing. I want to focus on one thing at a time, then introduce something else and talk about a slightly different situation. I'm talking about this for a while, but this is a very common grammar construction, and hopefully this makes it a bit easier to understand. Let me know in the chat if I'm correct. All right. But the basic idea, like used to for this situation. So look, it's the same thing. We got used to up here and used to down here. So if you ask a native speaker, what does used to mean? And they will think, when do I use that? When do we say used to? Well, we could say like, yeah, I used to do something. Many years ago, I used to play soccer. Now I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. Or we could talk about like if you're feeling like more comfortable, you're getting used to something, or you are used to it. Okay? So always focus on the situation. The vocabulary comes from the situation. It's not the other way around. All right. Let's see. Hopefully. All right. I think we got that. All right. Oh no, the chat really like skipped me down. Man, damn you, Google, always with this chat over here. I do appreciate having a chat, but it's, be nice if it didn't just like skip me down about that. All right, Antoine, and if I'm pronouncing it, Antoine, yeah, I think so. Antoine, maybe. Hello, teacher. I'm from Haiti. When can we use the past perfect? The past perfect. So remember, think of an example. I want you to try this now. Like think about when we use something. Remember, like past perfect, like think about it being complete. It's finished, like I have done something, it's already finished. Think about a specific situation when you would do it. Don't think about the grammar point or the grammar point name. Think about when you would use something. Give me an example sentence, and then I'll give you some more. All right, give that a try. I know we just like did a whole example about this, so I want to make sure people get it, but don't think about it like a linguist or a teacher. Think about when you want to say something. What is the situation? Try to think about that. So like I'm trying to talk about something I did before, or like I was doing something and now I finished it, or I used to do something and now I don't do it anymore. Okay, see, these are all situations, and you're not thinking about it like a grammar student, you're thinking about it like a native speaker. So think about that. Oi, Lucia, let's see, what about would? Okay, we answered that one already. What do you say you should be doing instead of you should do? Oh, well, this is if you're, all right, here's like a good example for some naturally varied review. Let me make sure I understand the question. Why do you say you should be doing instead of you should do? Okay. Remember that there are often multiple ways to express something. So natives will hear different native speakers, like maybe my kids, they will hear me and like some teachers or some friends or other parents or whatever talking about things, and they will get different examples of something. So they will hear maybe like, or I will use you, try to use that exact example. So you should, let's say you should eat. All right, so you should eat. Like I recommend you eat. Like it's a good idea if you're doing something. I'm giving you some advice here. Or you should be eating. All right, in this situation. Now I'm going to continue using this because I really want to get this deep into your head. In this situation, these mean the same thing. All right, they both mean in general in this situation. So you should eat. I'm not talking about just one time. If I say you should eat vegetables, I'm talking about like your whole life, like from now, like, until you die, I guess. Like it's a good idea if you eat vegetables. participles. That's my advice I recommend, all right? So you should eat, this can mean generally, or you should be eating. It's still talking about the same thing, but using the continuous, I don't even like using the grammar term here, but using the ing here, this is just so you understand, it's like I want you to keep doing that thing. But both of these mean the same in this situation, okay? So both of them mean the same thing. So you should eat, or you should be eating. You know, it's basically the same thing. All right, so it's not just like one activity. If I'm trying to give you advice for like life in general, okay. Now, if I want to say like you should go, like if someone is asking me for like directions or something, or if they're saying like should I go to the party, I said yeah, like you should go. I wouldn't really say like you should be going, because it's just one event. It's like the party is like it's happening at one time. So I wouldn't say like you should be going to the party. Like you might hear something like that, but it's less common. So your understanding of situations becomes more fine. Like you understand slight differences in nuance as you learn it like a native speaker, rather than trying to learn it and translate it through your native language. So that's like a horrible way to confuse your brain. If you're like, okay, like is it eat or being eating or something like that? It's better to understand it as a situation. So if I'm giving you advice for life, like you should be learning every day. You should be learning every day, okay? Or I could say you should learn every day. It's the same idea. I'm talking about generally, or yeah, like we're going to do this thing repeatedly, it will continue, that kind of thing. All right, that's the way natives are thinking about it. I'm giving you these long answers because I really want people to understand these, but let me know if this makes sense. All right, thanks, Sensei. It does make sense. All right, good to hear it. Keiko says, hi, teacher. Nice to see you there. Let's see. Marco says, Frederick is a really great app. Awesome. If you do have Frederick and you have not given us a review, please review the app. It will help us reach more people. So please go to the Google Play Store or the App Store. Hopefully give us a 5-star review, but please review the app. Leave us a great comment. And also if you have feedback to improve it, one of the things I'd like to do, the next little thing I want to improve with it is a little slider on the level select screen. That way you don't have to like tap on all the levels to move them. You can just like slide your finger just a little bit and go through all the levels. Hopefully that will be a cool thing for people. All right. If I read my holy book in English, does it help? Yes. I mean, if you read anything in English, if you understand that information, sure. But remember, like a holy book is probably like a pretty thick book. Most of the holy books I know are like pretty thick. And I usually don't recommend people like try to read one thick thing. I recommend you read like a few thin things, because that's giving you naturally varied review. So just like trying to watch a 2-hour movie, it's much better to watch like a 20-minute cartoon, and then you can watch a few different cartoons about that topic. All right, it's much better. You want to give your brain like review much more frequently. All right, it's much less likely. So people are not, they don't usually review information. Like they will read a book and then they don't review that information at all. So they get a passive understanding, a passive vocabulary, but they're not building an active vocabulary that they feel confident about using. All right, that's the key for fluency. All right, Keiko says, it's difficult for me, but I'm listening hard today. Ganbari nasai. Dekiru yo. We can do it. All right. People like it. Let's see. El Kriya. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yes. Give me like a like if you're enjoying this video. Like the video. So Google and YouTube will say, yes, we need to send more of Drew's videos out to more people. All right. Danya says, how can we create a situation without having a partner? Very easy. The same way you get review of anything. So I made a video on my YouTube channel. You can go see it right after this one is finished. It's how to make espresso in English. And it's just 4 different videos in the same video where I'm giving you examples, and you're getting naturally varied review, where you would have lots of different, you only get 4 in the video, but you can get many more even on YouTube. And so this just means like you're getting review It could be reading something like a blog post or an article online, or it could be a newspaper or like a physical book, anything like that. But you want to get information again and again and again in different ways. You don't want to repeat. I know people like repetition. Like repetition is important, but it gets boring very quickly because your mind hates repeating stuff. If you think you know some information already, your mind doesn't want to do it again. That's why it's so difficult for people, like doing, karate practice or something like that, where people are like, we have to do the same punch over and over again. Or language students trying to read the same text over and over and over again. It gets very boring. So instead, you need naturally varied review. This is where you get lots of different examples in different ways from different people, from, it could be different like media, like I talked about, like reading something, listening to it, watching it. Or you can also get it from different people. So you can get like me talking about something or someone else talking about something else, but that's how you get the review you need. The improvement comes from understanding the vocabulary well, not from you trying to practice what you say. All right. So what I'm doing here, like as you get this, you're like, I understand this better. And now I feel more confident about it. I feel more confident about using what did we learn? I'm getting used to it. All right, you're feeling better over time. I'm getting used to it. So you might have some grammar at the beginning. You start learning, you're like, I don't really know about this. I don't feel very confident about it. But as you review it, you get one example, another example, another, many examples. And after that time, wow, you're really getting used to it. And then you are used to it. And that's how fluency develops. You can actually feel your fluency developing as you get these different examples. And this is why naturally varied review is so much better than repetition. And so people talk a lot about repetition. I should make a whole video about why repetition is incomplete. Like the better thing is naturally varied review. And you will see like charts of this. Like it's like, repetition gets boring over time. So we need spaced repetition. No. We don't want to like space out the boring repetition. We want to get lots and lots of repetition, but in different ways. So we keep it entertaining and enjoyable for yourself so you get fluent much faster. So the typical way, even spaced repetition, is quite boring and it's difficult to do. It's trying to trick your brain into doing something it doesn't want. But your brain does enjoy naturally varied review because your brain can feel, you're getting used to it. Okay, you're becoming used to that thing. All right. So yes, go like the app if you have not liked it already. All right. Simran says, you won't believe, but I learned English in a better way after watching your playlist videos. Thank you a lot, sir, but I have a question. How can we improve English through reading? Yep, it's the same thing. So just like you're watching my videos, like if you watch a video of mine about, whatever that topic is, you should read about that same thing. All right, it's the same thing. Like I do this in Japanese as well. So I might like hear about something. If I'm learning about gardening or whatever, I should read a little bit about that. Or if I'm watching a TV show about something, I should read the transcript of that or try to read like another story about that same thing. I think I gave like my email subscribers a while back, I told them the story of how I was watching just some Japanese cartoons in the morning and I saw two different shows were telling the same like common story. And I said, wow, that's amazing. Look at that. Like here's the story of this thing and here's the story of that. And another time it was like a game where you're standing in a circle and you try to push people out of the circle. And that was in two different shows on the same day. And I said, wow, look at that. It's different. It's not exactly watching the same thing again. I'm getting naturally varied review. So I want to hear that. And remember, this is the same way you learned your native language. So you didn't have just one robot like tell you something nice and easily. Like you had like maybe your mother said something clearly to you, but then your grandfather, he's like, you can't understand what he's saying very well, but you kind of get the idea. He's like, come here. Like, he's saying, come here. Okay, yeah, come here. but that's how you learn. You're getting lots of these different examples. That's how you can use it, and that's how you can understand it when you hear it from other people. All right, let's see. So Nils said a old cat. Yes, you would say an old cat, an old cat, an old cat. All right, David says, are speaking slowly or you always speak like this? I'm from Colombia, keep going. Yes, for these videos, I have a range of people who watch, so it could be people who maybe can't understand a lot of English. Some people understand quite well. So I try to keep my speed about here, but the more important thing is I'm not using a lot of difficult vocabulary. Most people, and when I say difficult, it's more like vocabulary that you are not used to. So you have not heard it a lot. So these are idioms, slang, phrasal verbs, proverbs, movie quotes, things like that, like references from TV shows. So yes, this is not how I normally speak, but again, this is why we do this. Like in these videos, this is just helping you learn tips about how to build fluency. And so if you're looking for like actual step-by-step lessons where you hear me like taking you from this to like faster speech of me actually speaking with regular natives, that's what we do in Fluent for Life. So you can click on the link in the description below this video if you'd like to learn more about that. All right, and let's see. A cat means lucky? No, I was giving an example of like, I'll give another example of this. Often, like a teacher, when a teacher is teaching something, the teacher understands what they mean, but the student does not. So the goal of the teacher is to make the lesson understandable, so you understand what I'm saying. So if I'm trying to teach you, this is not English, this is not a real language, I'm just making this up, but I think it's a good example for helping people understand how your brain works when it's learning. So if I draw something like this, I'll try to draw a good, oh no, that's pretty bad, that's a really bad picture. I'm gonna do maybe my problem is I'm like drawing from a bad angle. All right, let me try this again. Okay, so if I draw a picture like this, and I'll use the word I'm just making this up, Khan. Okay, so imagine I am like an alien trying to teach you my alien language, and I call this Khan over here. Now, at first, you don't really know what I mean. You have a general idea, maybe like, you know, you can try to guess what I'm talking about. But if I say Khan, you're not 100% sure. So you wouldn't feel confident using it in a conversation. I mean, only if like you saw another one of these, you would say Khan, but you don't know what I'm talking about 100%. I could be talking about the color, the shape. Am I talking about this item by itself, or is it like a group of them? It's only as you get more examples that you really start to understand the vocabulary. So repetition is not going to help you. All right, repetition, if I just repeat like Khan, that's not helping you learn anything. This is why you need naturally varied reviews. So I need to give you a slightly different example of something and then help you understand like what that means. Now, if I draw this thing over here, let's see. That's a bad, that's a bad picture too. Oh my goodness, let me draw, why can't I, here. Okay. And then I call this Khan also. So now your brain is thinking like, ooh, what is connecting these things because I'm using the same word? So I wonder what that means. So this is a Khan and this is a Khan also. Let me draw something else. Khan. And as you get these different examples, then it's like, okay, he's probably talking about tool. Okay? And so this is why, like when you looked at the example before about the cat, so I gave you the picture of a cat here, and I say, oh, cat. or lucky, or feline. Now, one of these is talking about what the animal is. Actually, two of these words are doing that, if you understand what that means. And then, like lucky, if you understand what that means, that's the name of this particular cat. Okay? But if you think about a small child, when they're learning this in their native language, like they hear cat, they hear lucky, they might hear even feline, but they don't really know what that means. They need to get more examples of something. So if they see like other cats, like here's another cat over here, like both this is a cat and this is a cat, but only lucky is this one. Huh, that's interesting. This one is lucky and this one is not. So maybe that means the color, it could mean the name of the cat, it could mean something else. But the whole point is that you're not just repeating that, you're getting this different examples of this. So when you learn like a native speaker, this is what I talk about learning English as a first language, you're getting all these different examples, and that's what helps you understand it like a native. So you don't get one example and then translate that. You're just like, oh, okay, now I understand what this means. Like this is a tool, that's a tool over there. I really want to make sure this is clear, because if you understand English as a first language, then you speak English as a first language. That's the whole point of this. That's where fluency comes from. All right? Okay. The cat needs help. That's true. Yes, the name of the cat is Lucky. Yeah, actually, I don't have a cat, actually, but just for the example here. So is that, good evening, teacher. Could you tell me what time and what day you are on live? Please let me know. So I enjoy my freedom. So I don't have a schedule for these live videos, but if you look at when they are, you can probably guess they are often on like Mondays and Thursdays, Japan time, in the morning. But today is a Friday, actually, so this is a little bit different than the usual one. But if you miss the live, I still make the videos available. So don't feel bad if you don't go to the live video. The information will still help you, even if it's not live. Well, and Elena is back. Konnichiwa, Drew. I'm so happy to see you teaching live. I would like to know any suggestions to understand Afro-American people, please. I can't follow them. Yes, any kind of people you want to understand, like spend more time with those people. That's the best thing you can do. Like watch, and if you don't like know any physically, like you don't have some friends or whatever, then watch people online, or like television shows or something like that. But it's the naturally varied review, like over enough time you will hear like, like this kind of person like sounds like this, or they have this kind of voice. But you will get used to that, and then you will be used to that. Okay? All right. Let's see here. Kite Kitty says, I love your drawing. Yes. All right. Neil says, can and could. Glad to hear it. Okay. Can you start a foot cam? What does that mean, a foot cam? Like a foot cam? Like be like a, what do you mean a foot cam? What does that mean? Can I take you out for dinner? Can I take you out for dinner? Yes. So if you're going to ask someone, I don't know if you're asking me or just practicing the grammar, but yes, you can take someone out. So you could also say, could I? So could I take you out for dinner? If you're asking someone like that. Mary says, I have a moment about the expression something works for someone. I use it a lot. Wasn't in the books. Yes. Yeah. When anything like works for something, you're talking about like it's appropriate for something, or like it allows you to do something. Like video works for me as a way of teaching. Software also works for me, which is why I created Frederick. And that's also like a good way for you to learn. So video, if you can learn with video, then video works for you. Same thing. So something might help you, or it's enabling you in some way. All right. Thanks, Drew. Let's see. All right. I love your drawing. Glad to hear it. Your drawing is very PogChamp. I don't know what that means, but hopefully that's good. It's a very interesting lesson, says Manana. Glad to hear it. I wish I could draw like that. I need to go pee. Oh, no, you better go. Don't do anything important. Teach us about dogs when I come back. It's my first time to watch you live stream as well. Well, hello and welcome. Go tell your friends. Say, hey, Drew is on right now. This is an atypical time. Atypical. So I usually am on Thursdays, but today happens to be Friday. And here I am. Grata, says Lucia. Alice says, I know all the words that I want to express, but I can't organize it into a sentence at once. Yes, how to organize sentences in your head. That's another interesting topic. So yes, people often get confused about things, and usually, often, almost always, in fact, it's because, again, people are learning English as a second language rather than learning English as a first language. All right. So when you learn English as a second language, you kind of learn all this random vocabulary. Like here's a word and a word and a word, and you translated it through your native language. And now you're thinking like, well, how do these puzzle pieces go together? Okay. So it's almost like a better way to draw this would be like just some puzzle pieces, kind of like that. Now just imagine these are puzzle pieces. I'm not going to take time to draw all these very well, but you get the idea. All right, so these are kind of random puzzle pieces. But what happens usually when you're learning English as a first language is you'll get these puzzle pieces connected together. So you'll have like a few pieces stuck together, kind of like as a phrase, something like that. Or if it's just one piece by itself, like the word cat, you've probably understood what that means, okay? So like I go to the, and you will hear this as a phrase all the time. Like I go to the gym, I go to the bank, I go to the party, I go to something like that. And as you hear these, you will hear like, oh, I went. So the person is talking about a different situation. They're talking about the past, like I went to something. I went to the bank yesterday. I went to the party. I went to the beach or whatever. And so the pieces over here, you don't really learn how to connect them because you're learning each piece individually. The connection is through like a translation in your native language. All right, this is a little bit confusing, but the basic idea is if you're learning English as a native speaker, if you get one piece, like you learn the meaning of it as the situation or the thing. Or you're learning like phrases like this and you're connecting all the words together in English. So it makes it much easier to take this piece and connect it with this one or some other pieces like that. And that's how you can speak fluently without having to organize sentences in your head. So you see the English as a second language way, it's a lot more mental work. You have to think, like first you have to think like, I want to say something, and often people will think in their native language first. I want to say this, and then I have to translate that. But now I have to translate this and connect these pieces, and I don't know what to do. And that's what creates a lot of the problems when people have to speak. Usually, like you can probably write well, or you could read or understand things, but it's the actual quick communication. It's much more difficult to do this when you're learning English as a second language. But don't feel bad. This is just the way everybody is taught, all right? I'm just showing you a better way to do this, all right? And we know this works because this is how you learned your native language. And the nice thing is that you can just do the same thing with English. Isn't that cool? All right, let's keep it moving. How long have we been going for? About an hour, okay, a little over an hour. All right, people see, let's see, it's my first time. Have you seen the movie The Sound of Freedom? No, I have not. Good question. Get used to, be used to are tricky for non-native speakers. Yes, depending on how you learn them. But if you watched my little lesson, my quick lesson, that's the same way I would teach that to my daughter. So I'm not trying to talk about grammar point names or linguistic names, anything like that. I just want to help when do you use it? So help people understand when do you use something. So if you think about like at this point, like I feel good over here, but like not yet. So like I'm feeling good, all right? And usually it's like a kind of, almost like a ramp. Like you start from 0 and you get up to, I don't know, wherever you feel, let's just say this is 100 over here. So you start at 0, you're not feeling good, but you're getting used to it. You're getting used to something and, oh, ding, now I am used to it. So I've had enough experience up here, now I feel used to it. You don't really get like more, I mean you could like get more used to something, but in the very basic understanding of like to get used to something and be used to something. So now I am used to it. or you are used to it, or she is used to it. All right. Okay. Oh, Abikito from Chile. Nice to see you there. I have a friend in Chile. Muhammad Ali, it takes me 4 years to find the right place to learn English, but remember, English is only on your lips, so try the best version of yourself. That's some nice advice. Oh no, chat skipped me down again. Oh no, well that really okay, you guys have a bunch of comments. All right, no, I think I got that one. Yes. Yes, asking me about the past perfect again. Give me an example. So look at the examples I'm giving up here. Give me a sentence example. What do you mean by the past perfect? I'm trying to get you to think like a native. So give me an example. All right, people, please hit the like button. Yes. All right. Yes, it means I was accustomed to doing that. Yes. So again, we can talk about getting accustomed or being accustomed. Like I am accustomed. I do like something. Hello, Teacher Drew. Eunice is back. I used to do sport every day, like some kind of sport, but I'm used to sleeping instead nowadays. Is this sentence correct? Well, you would say I used to do, you would pick a particular sport. Like I used to play tennis, or I used to, in general, you can say do sports, but that usually means you're talking about different things, like you played tennis and you were running or something. So yes, I used to do that. But I'm used to sleeping instead nowadays. Yes, yeah, you can say that. Like I'm used to doing it now. Like it's kind of what you do currently. All right, great teaching. Thank yous. Is Anne. It's my pleasure. How's is good morning. I'm getting used to cooking and eating vegetables. Glad to hear it. What's the difference between fun and funny? Well, fun, it just means it's enjoyable in some way. Like maybe I'm watching a drama. Maybe it's like it makes me feel good. I can think, oh, that's like it's a fun movie. But maybe I'm not laughing about that, which is what funny means. So I can have like, wow, this is like a really maybe this is a fun lesson if you are learning. So if you feel you have that aha moment, like now I understand something. This lesson is fun. But I'm not, I don't know, maybe I'm funny if I say something funny or something funny happens, then that's a different thing. But there's a difference between enjoying something and laughing about it. So remember, pay attention to when people do something. When people are like, oh wow, that roller coaster was a lot of fun. They probably weren't laughing about that, but they enjoyed it. Okay? So always think about when. Is written English must be strict in using perfect grammar? Yes, especially if you're writing professionally. If you're texting your friend, then maybe people don't care. But if you're going to write a resume or some professional communication, then it should be correct. All right. I remember when I worked, I was a manager at a hotel, and I would look at resumes for people. And if I saw lots of grammar mistakes, I would just be like, no, I'm not hiring you. All right, so even native speakers will have issues with that. All right, let's see. Perfect English explanation, says Marlene. Glad to hear it. Just like I've wanted all of your videos yesterday. I'm glad to hear it. Remember, if you enjoy what we do, this is only one piece of that. So really with these YouTube videos, I'm trying to answer questions people have about how to learn. But if you'd like me to show you kind of step by step, taking you through the process, giving you the naturally varied review, organizing all the information, that's what we get in Fluent for Life. So you can click on the link in the description below to learn more about that. All right, hi, says Yamin, and nice to see you there. Yale says, I should continue making exercises. Is that okay? If you're talking about, if you say I should continue making exercises, that would mean, if I'm making exercises for homework assignments or something. But if you mean, to exercise, to work out, you would say I continue exercising. To keep exercising or continue exercising. But an exercise, and that's another, again, the English, it depends on the situation. So the word exercise could mean physical exercise, I'm stretching or something like that. But it can also mean a military exercise where we're moving our battleships or something. Or it could mean exercising like I'm practicing something. So some homework sheet that I have to do, I'm like writing some Japanese or something, that's exercise as well. All right, English people's contacts, just hard to understand. Water bottle, things like that. You're talking about British English. Yeah, and there's even like different kinds of British English too. So it sounds like they don't use the R the way we do. So an American like me, I would say water. But British, like kind of more like higher, kind of classier British English is like, it's like water. It's like water. And there, it's similar to like Australian English, like water. Or you might also hear like water. You got a license for that? Water, give me some water. You know. So there are different ways of pronouncing it, even within England. I should take my time watching your video every day. Yes, it is a good idea, Nixon. Hey, Drew, it says, Suresh, nice to see you there. How can someone learn English perfect English in 6 months? All right. So anyone who's trying to learn, like as I just gave you some examples today, you get fluent word by word as you understand something. So you can think just like these puzzle pieces over here. Okay, I understand what the word cat means. I know what it means. I can use it confidently. You are fluent in this word. Or maybe you're fluent in some phrases. So it's not that you take 6 months to get fluent in like the language. You can actually get fluent in each of these pieces very quickly. It could be 1 minute. It could be like a day or something if you need some more review. Or it could be a week. Maybe some grammar points are a little bit trickier, especially if your native language, the grammar functions a little bit differently. But you don't take a long time to do it. So this is why, like in Fluent for Life, we get people fluent in 30 days in each lesson set. So you're not going to know like everything and be able to use everything perfectly, but it's not really the point. It's like it's the continual improvement every day as you get fluent in more and more things individually. Okay, so stop thinking about how long it takes you to get fluent, because it's not 6 months or a year. It's like it could be 1 minute or 2 minutes or a week or something. It just depends on how difficult the grammar point is for you, or the vocabulary, and how good of a teacher you have, or if you're teaching yourself. All right. So it doesn't take that long to learn, but just remember, you get fluent in each of these pieces. So if now you understand like get used to and be used to, like now I get it, I understand, and I feel confident using that. Now you're fluent in this. So you move on to the next thing and get fluent in that. And that's how the process works. From where should I get a buddy? Well, you can find people online, go to YouTube videos about topics you enjoy and comment under them. That's one way to meet people. But remember that you don't need a buddy to get fluent. Like I'm just showing you right now, you're not practicing speaking with anybody. Your mouth is shut, probably. Maybe you're repeating after me or something. But you don't have to do that. The point is to understand the language very well. Remember my iceberg example over here. So here's the water. This is like the speaking part up here. The rest of this, all this under here, this is all understanding the vocabulary. When you understand perfectly, then speech is super easy. You just open your mouth and the words come out because you know how to use it. All right, you feel confident about that. Learn the lyrics of music. So you would say learn the lyrics of music, or you can talk about a song, but music is uncountable. We just say music. And keep singing throughout the day. But yes, you can sing. That's another good way to review. It's a different kind of review. Only songs can't help me, I think. Yes, well again, maybe you have some songs that you like for your native language, and that's how you got fluent in your native language as well. So you might hear like somebody in their native language say something, or like whatever your native language is. You might hear it in a song or see it on TV or something. So it's just, again, naturally varied review. All right. Amado says, good morning, my teacher. Please keep up good, wonderful teachings. You are amazing. Glad to hear it. El Sira again says, I always begin learning a language looking for songs and trying to sing along. Sheehan says, I played online games for foreign British people. It was my point to speak English faster. Yep, there's lots of good ways you can get out and use the language and also to learn it. Let's see. Nimuslima says some tips about when to use punctuation marks. So when I have, if I'm teaching something like this, there are not many of them. If I'm just giving my daughters like an explanation of this, or if you're trying to teach this to somebody else. So we have something very simple. Hello. Hello. And I try not to give like a long explanation about it. I just want to compare these two different things. Hello. 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 And your brain is like, oh, what's different about this one? This one is, So this means I get a little bit louder or more excited. And then maybe you hear more examples of that, like, hey. 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 Okay. Hello? 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 You got it? So your brain learns best when it can compare these different things. I'm not trying to explain what it is. I want to help your brain understand this naturally. Naturally varied review. Isn't that cool? Naturally varied review. Okay. Let's see. Good morning from my side. You're a great teacher. Glad to hear it. Clearly, let's say, I would like to improve my spoken English. Well, this is how you do it. Keep watching. I arrived late, says Tom. Good morning. Let's see. Blackbeard. What was that, sir? The best teacher in the world. Coffee. Monterosa. Let's see. A wrench. Oh, you're like, wait. Like, yeah. That was like a while ago if you're going back and watching the video. But yes, that's a good lesson where if I just draw a picture and show you one thing, you don't quite know what it means. This is why in Frederick we actually give you a bunch of these different examples because I want you to really understand what that means. So most lessons will only give you one picture. But we wanted to give 4. So I had to make like thousands of these images. It really took us a long time because we had to individually make these or find the specific ones we wanted. We had to make a lot though. All right, Neil says, I love your examples. Glad to hear it. Tom again, Teacher Drew really knows how to teach. Yes. Remember, I'm just doing the things that you would normally do in your like everyday life as you discover these things for yourself. But I'm trying to make it like obvious in a way that I'm not telling you the answer. You get to discover the answer because the lesson is good. Okay, so the lesson, like we can know if something is a good lesson or not because either you understand it or you do not. All right, so I'm always trying to make the lessons better and make them more understandable. All right, and Antoine says, why is it already been Friday in your country? Are you not in America? If so, where? I'm in Japan. So I'm in the future. Look at that. What would you like? Would you like some stock information to tell you what's happening in the future about some currencies or gold or something? All right. A says you should replicate yourself using AI and sci-fi technology to spread your ideas more deep and keep them alive in all ages and change the way people think. Well, I did that already. That's what this is. Everything you're watching right now on YouTube. So I can make this video instead of doing a lesson for a few people in a classroom. I can do a lesson for thousands of people, and then over time, millions of people can watch these, and then I replicated myself using Frederick as well. So the same thing. So you can actually listen to me pronounce a bunch of words. So you could like meet me personally and say, Drew, could you say the word water or dog or truck or whatever? But instead of doing that, like you can push a button and just hear me say that word. It's like truck, 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 truck. And you can hear that right in the app. So yes, that's all. Like when I began doing this, the reason I make these videos is because I want to help people outside of just a classroom in Japan where I started. Okay, now Google skipped me down again. All right. You are a good man, says Ahmed. Well, thank you very much. All right. Let's see. Swan says, why and how is do? Use it before any verb example. They do read that book. Ah, okay. Yeah, I think I answered this question for someone a while ago. So remember the situation here. All right. So like if I'm talking with someone like, so I clean my room. So this is, let's just say this is me. So I clean my room every day. And my mom says, no, you, wait, let me make this a regular capital. No, you don't. Here's our exclamation point again. No, you don't. And I say like, and then me again. No, I do clean my room every day. So in this example, in this situation, I'm emphasizing it. It's for emphasis. So I do something. All right. That's why we would add something like that. So if someone says like, oh, what sport do you play? Like, oh, I play baseball. I'm just answering that question normally. But if someone is like, really, you play baseball? Or like you go to the park or something? Yeah, I do. I do play baseball. I do that thing. All right. You might even have the word do twice. So I do the dishes. So if I'm just talking with my wife, like, here, let me clean this up. So me. So the same thing. So if I'm talking with my wife, she says, you know, you never do the dishes. I say, no, I do. I do the dishes. All right. It's like, yes, like I do the dishes. Okay. So remember, it's the situation. In this situation, I'm emphasizing that thing. I do. All right. Hello, awesome teacher, says Madsen. I love listening and practice with your English studies. Greetings from Brazil, my darling. Wow, my darling. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I hear that like, it's like a lovely word, my darling. Wow. All right. And Surya says, I love you, teacher. Wow, you guys are so, it's like I've got some real love coming from the chat. Thank you very much. All right. Amazing explanation, says Tom. Glad to hear it. Since none of my relatives, friends speak English, would reading aloud help me to improve my spoken fluency? Yes, Eric, it would. But remember, you don't need to, you don't get fluent by repeating or speaking yourself. You get fluent by understanding the language well. So if I'm, like I gave the example before with the tools up here, if I do that again, and I just teach you the word con, and then you repeat that to yourself, even if you are speaking to yourself, if you don't really understand what it means, you're wasting your time. So just repeating words doesn't help you build fluency. Repetition doesn't build fluency by itself. Understanding builds fluency, and after you understand something, that's where you can try speaking. So you don't have to worry about having friends or relatives or anything. Like I can get people fluent, like what I tell people in Fluent for Life, like I could put tape over your mouth and still get you fluent. All right, because I'm helping you. Really, it's the teacher that does the hard work of getting someone fluent by organizing the information well and making sure the lessons are understandable. Okay, so don't worry about finding people to practice with. Just get lots of input, lots of understandable messages. Make sure you're learning the real vocabulary natives are using, and you're getting lots of naturally varied review. So not just repeating things to yourself or other people. You certainly can read, and the input will come from the book. But you can also watch a movie about something or listen to other people talking about that same thing too. Just don't worry about speaking. The speech isn't what gets you fluent. Speech is something you do after you're really understanding the vocabulary. All right. Let's see. So what's the time when this live stream comes to an end? Well, it's usually when either I run out of time. So it's 11:18 a.m. here in Japan, and we've gone for 90 minutes almost. So either my voice gets bad, like I lost my voice a couple of weeks ago, or I run out of time, like I'm just like, I got no energy left. It's like, okay, I'm hungry now. I want to go get some food. or I need some water, or we just like finish, I clear the chat. But some videos are more popular, we get more people coming to the videos, and I spend a little bit more time, so. All right, let's see. Pinelli says, good morning from the Philippines. What can I get started for you, or what can I start for you? Are both correct? Yes, like if you're talking about like working in a cafe, or if like someone is maybe requesting you to do some other work, like, I don't know, your boss or something, you can say, what can I start, or what can I get started for you? Both of those are correct. Let's see, Nils again. Hope I reach the level of understanding everything. Well, if you understand each thing individually, Nils, then you understand it all. That's how it works. So you start understanding each little thing. But remember, some things will come very easily and quickly. Others might take a little bit more time. And those things are really important. Like it could be a grammar point that maybe is a bit trickier for you, something. But spend the time. Just get more examples of that until you really understand it. You will feel very good when you're like, now I got it. Okay? We're looking for the aha moment. Hey, Drew from Saudi Arabia. Michelle, nice to see you there. Mary again. I am getting used to practicing. So in this example here, you would say, I'm getting used to, and because you're talking about like doing something, like I'm getting used to practicing my English, or I'm getting used to playing, I'm getting used to speaking, I'm getting used to going to work. All right? So you're talking about the activity like that. Eric again, I scored C2 on my university's localization test, but I feel like a B1. Well, you are an A plus in my book. I know like the numbers are like, or the letters are backwards or whatever, but don't feel bad about that. Remember, tests aren't necessarily accurate reflections of how real life is, but keep taking like a little step every day. You will feel better about that. Melissa says, what kind of grammar mistakes, or you can say, what kind of grammar mistakes do natives do, or do natives make? There will be like grammar mistakes where you're saying something, you just use the wrong word, but it's not because you don't know it. Maybe you're talking about one thing and then make a mistake and say something else. Not everybody is like a really good speaker. That happens. And also there are intentional grammar errors that natives make. So right there, I made like an error. So I said natives make. No, wait, what did I say? I said native make, when I should have said natives make. And that was not because I don't know the grammar, it's just like my, tongue stopped working or something. So remember not to get too worried about the grammar mistakes when you make them, assuming you understand the grammar, all right? But I'll just give you one example here of something very common that natives will use incorrectly. I'll write this, make sure I write the incorrect English correctly here. There's two cats over there. There's two cats over there. This is incorrect English. Can you spot the error? What should it be? What should it be? All right. I don't want to wait for the chat, but if you didn't catch it already, it should be there. There are two cats over there. There are two cats over there. All right. But we say theirs because it's just faster and easier, and everybody knows what we're talking about. No one is going to say, hey, you didn't say are. Now, we would not write this. We would write it correctly. There are two cats over there, but when we're speaking, there's two cats over there. It's much faster and easier to say that. If I try to say this quickly, it's like there are two cats over there. It's much slower. Even by a little bit, people just want to express themselves more smoothly and quickly and easily. And again, this is another reason why like young children, so native children, will be learning from the sound of the language first. They're not learning from the writing. And in my last video, I talked about, again, in this video also actually, used to. So when children hear this, they don't hear it, they don't hear the D. because people don't say it. So they just hear like, yeah, I used to do something. So if they try to write something in a text, in like I don't know, like a text homework thing at school, they will forget to put the D. All right, because they're learning from the sound of the language, not from the writing or the written letters. All right, so when we're looking for things like this, again, we pay attention to the situation and then think about what natives say in this situation. So here, there's 2 cats over there. There's 2 cats over there. So you can say this too. And if you feel confident about it and you just say like, yeah, there's 2 cats over there. Yeah, there's 3 schools on this street. There's 3 schools on this street. But if you feel unconfident about it, if I say there is 3, you don't want to say there is. You wouldn't say there is, but you'd say there's. And people will be like, okay, you understand it like a native. You're saying it like a native. Okay, Saw Post Sky says, oh no, okay, here we go. I'm new here. I'm working and listening working and listening to your teaching right now. It's awesome. I'm going to watch more of your videos, or more videos of yours, or more videos. All right. Duran says, no, I just tuned in. It's okay. You can watch the replay when it's up on YouTube again. Says that if someone understands what you say, what is his level? Well, I mean, again, as I've talked about, I'm covering many different things in this video. Remember that fluency is it's a bunch of different skills. I'm not going to draw this very clearly here, but this is a very simple explanation or a simple drawing of an English fluency profile, and it's just all the different skills that you need to communicate fluently. So one of them, for example, is like the size of your vocabulary. And often what happens is native speakers, like or English learners, they will know a lot of words, but their confidence will be very low, all right? Or so your listening might be higher, but maybe your grammar is not very good. So your level of fluency is actually, it's controlled by your weakest skill. And this is why you can know a lot of words but not communicate fluently if you lack confidence. So if I know a lot and maybe my grammar is perfect but I feel really shy, then I won't be able to speak well with people. And so when people ask me like, hey, if I understand what you're saying, what does that mean? Like, it doesn't really mean much. It's hard to decide anything about that. It just means you're able to understand me. And remember that understanding a teacher, or the way I'm speaking as a teacher, is different than how natives speak. So maybe you are good at understanding like teachers, but maybe you struggle to understand natives. All right, so these are all different skills and you can focus on these things. But I usually explain to people the fastest way to build fluency is working on your weakest skill, because that's the thing that's actually stopping you from speaking. All right, so if you can improve your confidence a little bit, you will feel much more confident about speaking without learning more words. Isn't that cool? This is what we teach in the Native Fluency Blueprint. Okay, let's see. Okay, Jose again. I love your videos, really awesome. Glad to hear it. Love your teaching method, says Carol. Glad to hear it. Tom again, guys, share your questions here in the chat so that Drew can answer them. Yes, that's why I'm here. All right, Dran, which is correct? Do I or did I? What do you mean? What time are you talking about? What's the situation? So if you're talking about in the past, did I do something yesterday? Or if you're talking about now or in general, like do I, like what should I do today? Like do I, or if you mean like in general about yourself, like do I like eggs? You're just asking a question about yourself. Do I like eggs? Yes, I do, in general. Or maybe in the past, like, did I go to the park? Yes, I did. So remember, it's not about the vocabulary. You have to ask about the situation. So when are you talking about? What is the situation? Don't think about words. Don't think about specific grammar points. Just try to imagine, like if you're asking me, Drew, like, how do I talk about something like I wanted to do something, but I couldn't do that thing, or something like that. If you try to explain it, then it's much easier actually to understand the grammar. All right, Eunice again. I'm almost getting fluency thanks to your approach, teacher. I really appreciate it. Glad to hear it. I listen to your videos before starting a conversation in English as a kind of warm up before exercising. Yeah, that's great. So remember, not just only listening to me, find native speakers who are talking about things as well. So find people who are listening and can give you more naturally varied review. All right, today you are looking Army person. So you'd say you're looking like. You can say you're looking like an Army person, or looking like a soldier, or looking like you are in the Army. See, I'm giving you naturally varied review, different ways of expressing this. Yes, I got a haircut 2 days ago. So I'm trying to enjoy my hair before it's all gone. And then I will like have to wear a wig or something. What should I wear? Maybe every video I can wear a different wig. All right, is con tool in Japanese? No, dogu is tool in Japanese. But no, I was just giving that example. I will give Japanese examples sometimes, but I do have Japanese people who watch these videos, and the example is even better for them if it's not in Japanese. So I just use like an alien lesson like that. So con doesn't mean anything. So if dogu here. Look at my Japanese is like messy too. But yes, con doesn't mean anything. All right. Good morning, Shiv Kumar. Juan again. Thanks for your explanation. Glad to hear it. Erica, El Sira. I need to practice that name, El Sira. So glad to see you. It's been some time I haven't watched you. Thanks for this great live. God bless you all. And then Juan again. How could I effectively benefit from reading a book to improve my speaking skills? Well, reading a book helps you understand the vocabulary better. But there's nothing special about reading a book or listening to an audio or watching a video or something. It's just, do you understand the content or not? Maybe you understand something from like a written example, but if you heard that same example, you would probably understand it too. So it's not only about like only reading, but reading is a good way to get more naturally varied review. So you want to hear lots of different examples, and you want to get them in different ways. So you want to read them and see them and hear them, and all of these things come together. It's the same way that you learned your native language. So you want to simulate that same environment. All right. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. Like every day you're learning the vocabulary or the grammar or whatever, or the whatever the pronunciation, but you're hearing it in different ways from different speakers in different tenses at different speeds. Okay. And all of this is what builds your fluency automatically, even if you don't have anyone to practice with. All right. Okay, Edwin says, hello, Drew, greetings from Philly. Oh, like Philadelphia? I'm from Columbia, following you since 2016. You are, you'd say you are a good teacher. Well, thank you very much. Charles, again, this program is extremely helpful for non-native speakers. Yes, that's the plan. So the point is to make it easy. We want to transition you from learning English like a student, so learning English as a second language, to learning English as a first language. So you speak English as a first language. All right. You can speak multiple first languages. You just have to learn that way. That's how we do it. And again, Sham, again, what do you think that shadowing can help to improve my pronunciation? Shadowing is useful, but I think it's much better to get many examples of other people speaking, because often like people will try to make their pronunciation, they want to mimic the exact sound of the other person. So if you're trying to do it for pronunciation rather than just like to practice moving your mouth and saying something, I would rather get like 10 different people hearing them pronounce something rather than just like one person and me repeating after that. Your mind will do lots of practicing by yourself, like even if you don't open your mouth. I remember there was an interesting psychology experiment about shooting a basketball, and a team was split into two groups, and one was actually shooting baskets and the other was just sitting there and visualizing it, and they both improved. So even the people who did not actually shoot the ball, like the people who were just thinking about it, they got better also. Let's see. Tough woman. Uh-oh, a tough woman over there. Hello, Teacher Drew. I am your new subscriber from your channel watching from. Glad to hear it. From the Philippines. Awesome. All right, Dran, speaking of naturally varied review, I hope there will be available transcripts for your live streams. Well, you can get the, I make the subtitles available. Usually they take some time to process because it's just Google processing those. Maybe I'll go back and make some of those, but like that's one of the benefits of being in Fluent for Life is we've got all the transcripts and everything all nicely written out for people. All right, Suzette again, you are a good teacher. Thank you so much. Glad to hear it. Can you say a hello to Brazil? Hello to Brazil. Nice to see everybody out there. We got a lot of Brazilian fans, I know. All right, perfect pronunciation. My name, Drew. Thanks, congrats. All right, Haslima says, hello, Professor, watching from USA. Just to let people know, I know some people call me Professor. I know that's like a name for teacher in some places, but I'm not. Like, I'm just a regular guy that knows how to teach, but I'm not like a certified professor or anything. All right, Brazilians are everywhere indeed. Didn't expect that. Yes, we have actually, I've got some friends out here who from Brazil. Actually, a guy, both of his parents were, or I think one of them is Japanese and one of them is Brazilian, but he grew up in Brazil. All right, do you have any tips to practice conversation, says Camilla. Again, without even having someone to speak with, I would spend your time like watching other people speaking and getting naturally varied review. So if you can, you don't have to wait for other people to be available to practice speaking. You just start getting review and start understanding the language like a native. So get lots of native examples like we do in Fluent for Life. All right, let's see. Tom again says, this is the best channel to learn English. Glad to hear it. What is shadowing? I don't understand the question. Yeah, there's some people that focus more on this. It's kind of like speaking after other people, like the shadow. So if I say something, then you're repeating after me. But I think shadowing is overrated. So I mean, I think it's like, I don't know. People talk about it more than is like saying it's more important than it actually is. It's helpful, just like kids repeat after their parents, but there's nothing like magical about that. But I do think getting more examples of many different speakers, if I had to choose like repeating one person or hearing lots of different people, and you could even still try to repeat after them, that's going to be better for you. Thanks, teacher, your class tonight. God bless you. That's my pleasure. Sim aqui Tim, that's for the Brazilian. I'm guessing that's some Portuguese or something. All right, Sensei Drew. Yes, you could say Drew Sensei. Yell again, unless I'm meaning your class. Yes, I figured that. And Gansham says, I watch videos of some non-native people speaking English. Instinctively, probably those people will follow your tips. Otherwise, they will know already naturally varied review. Yeah, that's just the name that I gave to it, but it's what people are doing anyway. But I think when you know what natives are doing, it's a lot easier for you to do the same thing. So you hear a lot of like traditional advice about language learning, which is like some advice is just like repeat lessons a lot, but that's forgetting about human psychology, and it's forgetting about how people actually learn languages themselves, like in their native language. So just if you do something in your native language, do that same thing for learning English. It's not that difficult. It's just finding the information and making sure you can understand that is the difficult part by yourself, but it's possible. So that's how I taught myself Japanese. All right, and then some more Portuguese on there as well. All right, Camilla says, I think that I have no difficulty to understand advanced English, but maybe to speak I have. Yeah, and so like if you have this, like the subject of this video is how to speak continuously, so how to keep talking. That's why I'm trying to give you an example of that, like me talking now. But if you watch, actually a better way to explain this, like for you or anyone out there that's trying to improve your speaking, remember that if you're making mistakes and you're worried about those mistakes, that will stop you from speaking. So I gave some examples at the beginning of this video about the kinds of things that like people struggle with. But the core, maybe foundational reason for most people is that they don't understand the language like a native. All right, so you should be understanding English like a native rather than understanding English through your native language. All right, so you want to learn English as a first language rather than as a second language. So you can understand things, and there are different levels of understanding. So you might have the awareness level of understanding, but you don't have the ownership level of understanding where you really feel confident about using something. All right, so understand that there are different levels to this. That's why you can understand often, but still not feel confident about using something. All right, so I might know it like intellectually or logically, like I know how the grammar point works, but maybe I still can't use it myself. All right, so when you understand it, you can continue to improve that and go from the awareness level to the ownership level. That's taking you to the fluent level just by getting more examples. So even if you don't speak, you can do that. Okay, we are all here in Brazil learning English with Teacher Drew. I know, isn't that amazing? You can be on the other side of the world and still be learning without being in a classroom with somebody. You could be on the beach right now. All right, thanks for this class. And answer me, says Camilla. You would say like, so in that example, like if you say thanks for this class and answer me, it sounds like I didn't answer you. So isn't that interesting? Like people often think they know the vocabulary, but if there's like certain mistakes you might make that if you're in a conversation, people would say like, oh, I did answer you. What do you mean by that? So what you should have said if you're talking about like thanking me for answering, you would say, thanks for the class and answering me. All right. If you say answer me, it's like answer me, like give me the answer. But for answering me means I already gave you the answer. All right. And these are the subtle, slight differences when you understand it like a native, like you don't make those mistakes because you understand it the native way. And that's why I remind people, you can try to start speaking more and maybe you will improve a little bit, probably not. I mean, most people, they've been like at a plateau level for a long time. And that's why they find my videos and join my programs and then they start improving because now they're learning like a native. All right. So again, if you're feeling confident about understanding, but you're still not speaking, there are probably mistakes in your speech still, even like things that you don't realize are mistakes, but maybe you're not quite feeling very confident about it. But that's why I just spend more time getting more review, hearing more examples. All right. Yale gives me the OK symbol like there. See, Daddy, what is the best way to make students speaking? Most of my students, they are too shy to speak. Is that okay to teach grammar with other mother language? No, don't do any of that. All right, number one, the thing that I explain to students, and even these are my own students, like adults who are learning with me, is you don't have to speak until you're ready. Okay, so don't force yourself to speak. If you are a teacher in a classroom, your students will feel very good if you say two things. The first one is you don't have to speak if you don't want to. All right, and the second thing is it's my fault if you don't speak. All right, and that means as the teacher, you are the one who either makes the language understandable or you do not. So if you are a good teacher, then the students will understand the lesson and they will naturally want to speak. All right. But if you're not a good teacher, if you're just giving them translations, then it will be hard for them to understand. And then, of course, they won't want to speak. All right. So it is your job as the teacher, just like me for like Fluent for Life or any of the programs or these videos. If I'm a good teacher, I make the lesson understandable. So people feel good about that. They think, now I understand this vocabulary or grammar or something, and now I feel confident about using it, all right? So it's the understanding that leads to confidence. It's not more speaking practice. So I'll put this example up here again. So English as a second language. What people usually do is they start with like, okay, I'm gonna teach you something, but usually it's through your native language, and then I want you to repeat after me. So there's some kind of speaking. And now I want you to repeat that. And then at some point, like there's fluency. But it doesn't really happen like this, all right? So usually what happens is like you get to this point and then you stop right there. And you never develop fluency. So you teach a new word or phrase, you try to say that thing, and then you repeat that again, but you don't actually build fluency, all right? But when you learn English as a first language, you understand. The whole point is to understand. It's not just to like know it, like you told me a grammar point, like you do this word plus this word plus this word. No, I'm giving you lots of examples so you understand what I'm saying. And when you understand, you feel confident. So confidence really means a lack of worry, a lack of doubt, a lack of questions, because in your mind as you're learning things like that tool example I gave before. So if I give you that picture, I'm going to try to draw it quickly over here. Here's that the like example I gave before. If I put Khan up here and just say this is Khan, all right? So if I'm doing this as like the English as a second language, but imagine it's like an alien language I'm teaching you. So the first thing I do, I show you something and I say Khan. So I know as the teacher, I know what I mean. I know what this word means, but you don't. You don't really know, all right? So I gave you the other examples before, but now I'm like, if I'm teaching you something new, so I'm teaching you something, and now I say, okay, repeat after me. And you just say Khan, Khan, Khan. And every time you see this little sign or symbol, you will say Khan. But you don't really know what Khan means yet. All right? You didn't learn anything. You're repeating after the teacher, but you don't really understand. All right? And so this example here, like this is the ESL way. I give you something I'm trying to teach you, and this is like a visual example of it, but it could be a grammar point explanation or something, or maybe it's a translation. But in the EFL way, I'm going to give you a whole bunch more examples because the goal is understanding it. And so when you hear this one, and then maybe I draw like this other thing here, and then I draw, I don't know, what's like another, like here I drew this example before. And so this is Khan, and this is Khan, and then maybe I draw like, I don't know, some other thing over here. And if you understand what all those things mean, the word Khan means tool. Now I get it, all right? It's not because I gave you a translation, it's because you understood it like a native, okay? To understand something like a native means you connect with it directly. You don't need the translation because you understand. So this way, so you teach something they don't really understand. So like people don't talk about this at all in regular language learning. They don't talk about like understanding the information. They just talk about teaching, and now we get to speaking and repeating, but why don't we develop fluency? Why not? It's because people don't understand, okay? So you don't get fluent by speaking. Speaking doesn't help you if you don't understand. So understanding gives you confidence. It answers your questions like, okay, what does Khan mean? I have a general idea, maybe 80%. You can't really fit that. Let's say this is 80% up here. All right, I feel about 80% confident I know what that means. Oh, now I hear another example. Now I'm 90% confident. Oh, I hear that. Oh, now I'm like 99%. Oh, now I really feel very confident about the word. I'm 100% confident that Khan means tool. All right, so because I'm confident, now I speak. So I spend my time here, not here. Speech is the result of this, okay? So and this is why you can get fluent by yourself. So you don't need a speaking partner. The speaking partner, what are you going to do with a speaking partner? You're just going to repeat things you don't really understand? You don't need to do that. It's just understand, feel confident, and then you start speaking. And sure, maybe you have like a little bit of practice like with pronunciation or something, but the core of understanding, because you've heard it from different people, you've seen it in different contexts, like the past or the present or the future or whatever. You've heard different people talking about it. You really feel confident about something. The speaking is automatic. The speaking is the easy part after that. Okay, so you can get fluent by yourself. You don't need to spend a lot of time practicing speaking. So remember this as a teacher. I really like want to make this point clear, because students, if you force them to go through this, like, you're just wasting their time, you're wasting your time. And I know maybe you have to do this for passing a test, but this is much faster and easier, and the students will enjoy it. So when I teach people, like, I mean, I don't teach in the classroom anymore other than this, but I'm not telling you to say anything. The job is on me. I am the teacher. I have to make the language understandable. It's my fault if you don't understand. If you don't get fluent, it's my fault, not your fault. But over here in ESL, it's like, well, the teacher taught something. You have to just remember it. Okay? Repeat it to yourself. And then the student is like, of course they feel shy and scared and they don't have confidence. Okay? So don't do that as a teacher. All right. Let's see here. Oh no, now I got a whole bunch more questions over here. All right, I think actually we're getting pretty close to the end. I've only got a few minutes left anyway. All right. So hopefully, that makes sense. All right. So you don't need to use your native language to teach English. You begin by just making it understandable. If you'd like to see how to do that, click on the link below this video for Frederick. Install that and you'll see how to teach English as a first language. All right, for answering me, that's the correct way to say it then. Yes, so it's like, thank you for doing something. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for answering me. So you give you the naturally varied review. Here are different examples. Thank you for coming. Thank you for going. Thank you for playing. Thank you for doing this. And then you can add for me or with me or whatever. All right. I always hit the like button when I'm in the class. Very good. Yes. Everyone click that like button. Click, 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 click. Do you usually develop and update, Frederick? Yes. So we're continuing to develop it. And yeah, we just released a new update a little like a few days ago. But yes, we're continuing to develop it, and the goal is to have it in schools, actually. So if you'd like to use it in your school, you can start doing it now, but send us an email at info@englishanyone.com and say, hey, Drew, we love the app. We want to use it in our school. How can we do that? And we can help you with that. All right, Tom answered me. Let's see. Eunice says, for example, scissors is a tool. And a tool is a thing. I mean, if I don't know the word scissors, I'll say tool and give someone a description of it. And if I don't know the word tool, I'll say thing. Yes, that's correct. So you could, and I gave this example a while ago about like different categories of something. So you can go higher or lower or whatever. All right. By the time and practice, I will get used to it. Yes. So the practice is what gets you used to it, and that's how you start speaking. So don't put pressure on yourself to speak. Just relax and understand. Get more examples. That's how you do it. So if you'd like help with this, this is what we do in Fluent for Life. Again, like if you enjoy these videos, you will love that because it's got more of me teaching, but most of it is like just lots and lots of examples in a step-by-step way that leads you to understanding and speaking like a native. All right. So if we can teach you like a native, we're going to help you understand like a native so you speak like one. All right, so click on the link in the description below this video if you'd like to do that. Do click that like button, share this video with anyone else who would enjoy it. And I think, I think that's everything. Let's see. Niels again, let's see, thank you, Drew, for the time. Say good night. Until next time, Mei Fang says, hi, Andrew, can you make a shorter video out of this live chat? You mean the chat or the video itself? I think probably we will do, I don't know. I'd like to actually have someone like cut our videos up and make shorts out of them. So I'd like to do that actually. Yes, really nice content, very inspiring. Glad to hear it. All right, thank you so much, Drew. Take care. I'm already addicted to these classes, says Tom. All right, fantastic. Then we will see you in the next video. That will probably be Monday, Japan time, around the same time. So like Monday, like 10 a.m. around that. But thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. And again, click on the links below this video in the description. Absolutely get Frederick, and that will just let you practice lots of things, grammar, pronunciation, listening, learn lots of vocabulary that you don't know. Even if it seems like an app for kids, it's not. It's an app for anybody who's trying to learn like a native. And again, if you already have the app and you like it, do go to the App Store and give us a great review. Give us 5 stars, in fact. Give us 10 stars if you can. But have a fantastic day. All right. What fan from Chicago too? Look at that. All right, fantastic. My hometown. I haven't been back to Chicago in a long time. Let's see. What school in Canada are you a teacher at? Me? Oh, I'm not. This is my school. I'm in the school of life. I'm in Nagasaki, Japan. Love your videos over the years. Glad to hear it. It's my pleasure. All right. Well, I'm going to shut it down so I can rest my voice, get some lunch, and have a nice rest of my day. Have a fantastic day. Do click that like button and share. Bye-bye.